I am Anna Olson here on A1R Radio, and today I am continuing my show as I have every week, Tuesdays, Pacific Standard Time at 1:30 and Eastern Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. And you can always reach me for a reading with me privately, just for you, confidential readings at AnnaOlsonIntuitive.com. You can also reach me on Facebook at Anna Olson Intuitive. And, today I'm not going to take any live callers. I am going to talk about some spiritual things. And sometimes I just do a show where I just get messages from Spirit as I go, which is what I'm going to do today. I really feel like that's conducive to what I need to do today for many reasons. One is that, I have my own life and my own family comes first. So that's my prep for today. And also because I think things are timed perfectly. I really do think that Spirit has this under control, and I go by Spirit. I go by what Spirit says and what Spirit thinks is the right thing. And I love to do readings, and I want everyone to know as well. I want you to know that I do Reiki, I do chakra healing sessions, I do medium readings, life path readings, card readings, and I do basic life coaching as well. So I do have a background in psychology and working with people, just doing life coaching. So I do actually use a lot of my intuition with the life coaching, but it's not just exclusively a reading. So it would be just helping to reach goals or to give you some resources that you may need for whatever it is that you want to do in your life and to reach whatever goals you'd like to reach in your life. So, today I was thinking about how we can reflect right now, especially during the pandemic, and how the pandemic has been really good for people to reflect and to really go into a deep level of consciousness, where not only is it a deeper consciousness, it's a higher consciousness, where they tend to stop and reflect about what they need to do with their lives and why they're here. And I think it's a really good idea to do a reset. And if you would like to do the reset now, you can either write it down or just do it in your head. You can also take notes on your phone to do the reset exercise that we're going to do here. And a reset exercise is just to collaborate and sort of ground yourself in this foundation of where you are now spiritually and what that means to you. And since you're the only person who really has a big say in your life, in reality, really, seriously. And because you're the only one who can have control over that, it's good to do a refresh, and it's good to do kind of like this reset. And it also just collaborates like where you are, it's a collaboration. It's kind of like this, I'm going to calibrate like where I am right now. And I'm going to calibrate what I'm doing here. What am I doing here? It's kind of an interesting question because we all, I think, wonder that at some point in our life. And I think that's a good thing. I think spiritually, it's a really good idea to stop and think about what in the world you're doing here. Why are you here? What does it mean, etc. So let's do the reset now. You can write it down, or you can do it in your head, or you can do it on your phone. And we, first of all, think about where we are in space right now. You can kind of look at yourself in an aerial view. That's one way to do it, looking at where you are now, whether it be in your car, at work, at home, what have you. And you can even kind of just remote viewing, kind of just look almost kind of outside of yourself, see where you are, see where you're seated, see what you're doing in your life. Where are you? Where are you on the planet? Are you in your house? Are you, in front of your computer? Are you on your phone? Stop and think how you're spending your time and what you're doing and why. What is the goal? Is there a goal? Is there a long-term plan? And to do the reset, the way that I usually do it and the way I love to do it, and you can kind of put your own spin on it, of course, because it's your life and it's totally up to you. You're going to stop and think about your age. So now I want you to think about your age. How old are you? Okay, and then in the back of your mind, when you're thinking about how old you are, what is the typical lifespan of a human being? And gender does usually play a role. You think about your genetics a little bit. how long did most of your parents and grandparents, if you're not adopted or whatever, if you know, how long did they live? What is their genetic predisposition for lifespan? And then think about your lifestyle. How much do you drink? What is your diet like? How much do you move, exercise? Do you drive really fast? I'll put all those components into place. Stop and think about your lifespan. And I want you to think about this carefully and say it as a statement in your mind. And you can even write it down. I am, fill in the blank on your age, years old, on the planet Earth, in this dimension, this time dispensation, for the reason of. Now, this is a reset and a reintegration into where you are right now, into this dimension where we are right now. Now, I don't want to go too far into the woo-woo land of like dimensions, but the truth is that we are existing in a dimension right now that is conducive to our purpose and why we're here on this planet. And it doesn't matter how messy your life looks. There's going to be sometimes excuses that may come up that will come into your mind that'll start coming into play here as to, well, I was supposed to do this or I wanted to do this. No, don't start to look at, oh, well, I went to school and then I dropped out type conversations. We're not going to do that. The reason for this exercise of resetting is to understand that everything we've done so far and everywhere we've been so far and everything we've gone through so far is for an ultimate reason. We all have a reason to be here right now, and it's for an ultimate purpose of a much more vast reality than we can even imagine right now. And if you're really just drawing a blank on this, what your purpose is, and thinking about how many years you have left, it's time to draw into spirit. Imagine that white light illuminating all of your cells into knowledge. Ask for knowledge and ask for wisdom. That white light comes through the top of the head. It illuminates all your cells. That higher intelligence is going to give you an idea of why you're here and what your purpose is. You can write it down. You can just stop and think about it. You can put it on a voice recording, however that looks to you, considering your situation while you're listening or watching, and just think about it. Now, we went through the reset. You can even put your name in there if you'd like. My name is, fill in the blank. I am, like, however many years old you are, years old. I am here on the earth for the purpose of, fill in the blank. And then it's kind of like comma. And I have approximately how many more years left do you have? Think about your time frame that you kind of created with your lifespan and how long you believe you will live. If it isn't cut short, sometimes we don't know that we're going to pass a little sooner than we imagined. But if the best thing and the best idea you have right now is your approximate lifespan that you can genetically and scientifically put together, then fine. So you use that. Now, resetting your purpose and figuring out why you're here. Okay, you may even just be able to fill in the blank of, let's say that you're let's just say a nurse. Okay, that can be your purpose right now. If you're not sure of your ultimate purpose overall in your life, that's okay. Just put down what you know now. Sometimes we don't need to know what else down the road. Sometimes what we know now is perfectly fine, and that is part of the process, and that will give us just enough information. And it's just fine. So please try not to overthink it or overdo it. This is just about really knowing why we're here by tapping into source, tapping into the divine. And this is very important for our ultimate self-worth, self-esteem, and coming to a basic understanding of what our next step could be. So when we're tapping into our ultimate goals, our ultimate purpose, and why we're here, it gives us a much clearer vision of why and how and what we need to do with our family, friends, career, personal life. And it gives us more of a clear vision of how to continue with our ultimate purpose, goals, and everything else. So I am going to keep okay. I am going to keep going, and I'm wondering if you guys have any ideas for me for future shows. Just go ahead and give me a go ahead and give me any ideas that you have that you would like to see, because I know I have a few people who have asked me about the show and, hey, would you like to do this for your show, or do you want to try this, or what if you did this? You know, I've got a lot of great ideas, so I'm always open and willing and able to get ideas for future shows. So I just pulled 3 cards. I want to go over what they mean, and I want to ask Spirit what they mean. The first one that I got is the Fool. And when we talk about the Fool, that is indicative of someone who is very careless and who's just kind of walking on the edge of a cliff, careless, doesn't see it, doesn't care. Wouldn't care if they saw it or not. And they also have a guide with them, maybe canine guide. And it looks to me like they are just not sure. So it's more or less like a very naive young person who isn't quite sure yet of the world, and they're just finding all this stuff out. Basically, I feel that this means naive. And I think this can really account for a lot of the people who are dealing with what we've been dealing with the world in the past 2 years and how crazy it's become. So I think that we need freedom from worry, but we also need some structure. And when we talk about how structure can be boring, sterile, stressful, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about adding the Fool, you know, the carelessness and the naive nature, and mixing that with, I also got the Ace of Wands, mixing that with this freedom, this feeling of freedom. So we should have a balance between feeling a bit flying by the seat of our pants and with this kind of amazing freedom. So going into the shadow side, I also got the shadow side card actually in this deck that I have. The shadow side is something that we need to look at to make sure that we have a nice balance there, because what I think we can get stuck in is being too lax or being too structured and stressed out. And what happens is we burn out when we're too stressed and structured. And if we're too careless, we just take a nosedive. It doesn't go anywhere. There has to be some rules, some structure. And the shadow side is a great way to look at all of it together and to balance it out. So the shadow side is kind of incredible, because the shadow side is the part of us that we don't like to look at. It's the part of us that is kind of in the subconscious or unconscious mind, and it can kind of autopilot direct our lives without us even being really aware. So you need to be careful about that, of being in touch with it, not being ashamed of it, not caring what people think of it, just, you know, knowing who your people are. And if they don't like it and they don't like who you are, they don't need to be part of your life. It's pretty simple. And I think that's a really good directing. I think it's a really good way for our lives to be directed, is just to know your worth. I think really figuring out your life purpose, where you are right now in your age and your basically your assignment on the planet. I think it's really good to know your self-worth. I think it's really important for people to do that right now. It's very important for especially the younger crowd, the young, you know, teens, kids, it's real young adults. It's so important for them to know their worth and to know how incredibly important they are. And I think it's important for parents to make sure that they know and to remind them often, and to let them know that they're part of their tribe, part of their community. Let them know that they are worth a lot. They have a lot of things that the older generations never dealt with. And so I really think that that's very, very important right now. And I also think that it is important for us all to kind of dig into our own shadow side and see what the child inside of us needs right now, because it's all important. We're all worth the same. And I think last week I went into the chakras, and I went into what they mean, and that you can eat fruits and vegetables of the earth in season that will be good for each chakra according to the color. So for instance, strawberry would be good for the root chakra because it's red. Black stones, red stones are good for the root chakra because they correlate with the root chakra. There's so many natural ways that we can really be healthy and to get back on our feet if we're suffering from anything from, like health issues. Fibromyalgia is something that a lot of people are really feeling right now. And I know I was diagnosed with that years ago by a neurosurgeon. And he actually told me as a neurosurgeon, hey, surgery is not the best thing to do for a back, because I had some issues with my back and stuff too. He was very honest. And he said, fibromyalgia is best treated by looking at the emotional reasons behind it. And I thought that was incredible that this very popular, successful neurosurgeon was telling me this. And not only did I really do feel that my fibromyalgia is cured with natural things like homeopathy, chakra work, stones, crystals, oils, all of that. It was like a lifetime of like anxiety and all sorts of things that I was carrying with me on a daily basis and suffering from, that I really didn't have to carry with me and suffer from on a daily basis. And now I feel so much freer. It's about not ignoring and denying. When we look at the Fool card, for the viewers, if you can see this, there's this guy walking on a cliff. I'm going to explain it to the people who are just listening. And he's very careless. He's on the edge of a cliff. He's got, he could fall off at any moment, but doesn't care. He's looking away. And that's the Fool. That's a way that we're living our lives sometimes, just foolishly ignoring, that, wow, I have a lot of pain. It's not just taking Advil every day, guys. It's like, you have to really look at the reasons why you're in pain. There's emotional reasons. Yes, there are usually physical reasons too, but if you look at John Sarno's books, he's an MD, and he really does explain all of these pretty amazing research studies that they did on back pain or any pain in the body, but especially back pain, because more people suffer from back pain, and how dealing with emotional cyclical anxiety can treat pain. So if you've ever heard of John Sarno, MD, he does write some amazing books on the subject, and that's who my neurosurgeon referred me to. So I used to be in a lot of pain all of the time. I used to really have, a lot of issue with just functioning some days, getting any sleep. I was very tired all the time. It was very stressful, and it's just like, I was told, oh, you're like an 80-year-old in a 35-year-old's body or whatever. And, it was like really, really bad. It was hard. And now I can go all day. I go to the gym, I lift weights. I get tired at the end of the day, but I sleep well. I drink a lot of water now. I do homeopathic remedies, which was the most helpful for fibromyalgia. I'm doing, chakra therapies regularly. I check in with my chakras, and then there's a great affirmation I have for each, which I also use on my clients. But for instance, one of the affirmations is, I lovingly speak my truth, and I allow my higher self to speak through me lovingly. And then you say thank you at the end. That's the Evolvera therapy by Dr. Platarodi here in my area. So there's these wonderful affirmations for each chakra. That was one for the throat chakra, speaking your truth lovingly, and reprogramming your subconscious mind and your emotional tendencies or your emotional tapes that are going on in the back of your head, saying things that are just programmed there from childhood and can be re-scripted. These things can be re-scripted. There's so many different ways that you can heal. There's so many different ways that we can all heal mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I think it's really important to look at where you are now, really be honest about your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, because it's all connected. And what I really have come to find is that it is holistic. It's, Western medicine mixed with all the natural stuff and all the homeopathic stuff and everything put together. It's just this great way to heal. And especially nutrition, you can't eat a bunch of junk food and then expect your body to function normally. It just doesn't work that way. So I think it's really, really good to see how it's all connected, that, you have an emotional issue and that tends to slow you down in one area of your body. It affects organs, it affects your spine, it affects your functionality, and mentally you can start forgetting things because now it's all connected to this certain part of your brain, and then that's causing you to forget things, and then that affects this other thing, and then it all is connected to everything else, and it just goes on and on. It's like this domino effect, avalanche, whatever, what have you. And if you just get to the root of it, it solves the rest of it, and then it domino effects in a very positive way. And that's what I really love about natural holistic healing, in addition to the Western medicine, because it all works harmoniously and it's like a symphony. It's just great. So I think it's very important to pay attention to health right now, diet, exercise, all of the nice alternative natural ways to heal. And my husband and I just started drinking like a gallon of water a day. And I thought to myself, there's no way I could drink a gallon of water a day. That's ridiculous. I used to think that's too much. I would have to be like near a bathroom the whole day. The truth is I can drink more than a gallon. I could drink probably at least a gallon and a half a day. And then I realized, wow, we do go to the gym. We do go outside and like do a lot of work on our house. And, I'm going all day and I'm thinking, wow, I had no idea. There's all these things that we're not aware of half the time that are happening with our bodies, that are happening with our minds and our spirits that we're in denial about. So I think it's important to know when to feel structured and when to feel like it's time to let go and that there's nothing you can do. I think there's a fine balance there. And I think that's where people are getting lost right now. I think they're getting lost in the rush of not knowing if they should, relax a little bit or structure things up. And I think it's about right now recovery for most people and healing, because these last couple of years have been a doozy. They have been difficult for people. It's been heavy. People just had this gradual increase of stress. And now I feel like they're all starting to just decompress a little bit because the pandemic's starting to lift. We have regulations lifting. We have people who are more vaccinated now. And there are a lot of things that are happening with, schools and work and jobs. And there's just so much creating right now. There's a whole lot of reset. It really is just reset and recovery. So I think it's really important that we all have a good handle on our health, to really like gauge how we're feeling at any given time and to take care of ourselves. And not to just do more, but to relax, recover, and then go back and do some more. Because if you're burnt out, you're not going to function. If your brain is fried from stress and worry and what have you, lack of sleep, you're not going to get anything done anyway. There's no reason to try to continue to do more at that point. It's important to recover, and it's important to really check in with yourself physically and spiritually. And if there's something going on with you physically, like pain, it's not like, oh, you just broke your leg because something fell on it. Okay. Or you had an injury or something like that, or a pre-existing condition that's significant from injury. If there's pain and you're just like, I don't know where it's coming from, the doctors can't find anything. The doctor, even if the doctors do find something, there's herniated discs that, people can have 4 or 5 herniated discs and they don't feel it. And they have all these hooks coming out of their spine and everything else, according to my neurosurgeon, and they don't feel anything. So what does that tell you? That tells you that some people feel pain in those places and some people don't. Why is that? And it's not to discount pain. It's just to say it's your body asking you to pay attention. It's your body. It's our body saying, look, there's a problem that needs to be addressed. It will not just go away because you continued on your day and drank 4 cups of coffee that now made you feel like crap. It's more about really gauging where you are, being real about it, not being in some denial stage about it, and meeting your own needs and everybody else's. It's like you have to meet your own needs, because an empty cup cannot fill other people's cups. I'm just at the end of my time here. Please contact me if you'd like a reading, or if you'd just like to work with me. I'd love to even teach you how to use your own extrasensory abilities, and to learn about your own abilities and how to even help other people and meet with other people the way I do. So you can contact me, Anna Olsen, intuitive.com, ANNAOLSEN, intuitive.com. That's Anna Olsen, intuitive.com. And it's better not to use the chat. It's better to just email or call me directly. So I will see you next week, and I hope you have a great week.